Hello and welcome. Today we'll be introducing the clothing, gear, and equipment of the cavalry soldier during the Civil War. Please note that this video is intended only to serve as an introduction to the gear and equipment that you'll need to consider for your impression. We'll be doing other videos and other in-depth videos of each piece of gear later on, so let's start from the ground up with all of our clothing, gear, and equipment. Now the first thing we're going to talk about is your drawers. They're the foundation of your impression. This is where true reenactors separate themselves from the less committed weekend warriors, if you will. Some reenactors choose to go with the mainstream reasoning that if it can't be seen from the outside, then anything goes. And so they either wear modern long johns or whatever, modern leggings or anything like that, or yoga pants. But one thing I want to strive and let you guys know is your drawers, whatever you choose them to be, whether it's the military issue ones or the civilian issue or civilian purchase ones, please just start your impression out correctly by choosing a good and appropriate period pattern of drawers. Like I said before, this is the foundation of your impression, of your garments, and honestly gets you into the mood. Again, why are you in reenacting? Are you in reenacting to just have fun and shoot a whole bunch of powder? Or are you in reenacting to experience what those guys experience and feel the hardships? Trust me, getting in a pair of these drawers will make you realize and make you appreciate modern underwear, or maybe it won't. I've seen a lot of guys that actually prefer these, especially the military style ones, for their ease of access, I guess, if you will, versus modern underwear. So again, your drawers are it's pretty much your foundation, your starting point for your impression. Secondly, and just as important as good pair of drawers, is the shirt that you pick for reenacting. Now, like I said previously, we're going to have an entire episode dedicated to the shirts, but here are the basics. Many first-hand accounts of battlefield burials or battlefield carnage indicate that they could identify the side that the dead soldier was on based on the shirt that they were wearing. So we have basically three options for shirts that we can choose from. Number one, we can get the federal issue wool flannel shirt. Number two, a period correct civilian private issue or private purchase shirt. Or three, the highly overrepresented off-white or white or bleach white type Sutler Row shirt, similar to the one I'm wearing here. When choosing shirts, we need to remember the rule of thumb that we filter everything through, which was NUG. Was it normal? Was it usual? Was it general? While white shirts were obviously available during the 1860s, civilian shirts or civilian private issue or private purchase shirts, or definitely the gray wool type flannel shirt, is your best bet. So again, stay away from this type of white or off-white type shirt. If you can handle the gray wool flannel shirts, definitely do that. I have a hard time with my sensitive skin, but it's good. That's what, if you can do it, that's the one you want. But otherwise, as a number two option, get a civilian type shirt with a pattern, a obvious type, stripe type pattern, or there's a lot of options out there. Or if you can't do that, then okay, get the off-white type shirt you have out there. But try to stay away from the bleach white, just extremely bright white type shirts. The next layer of clothing that is an absolute must is your trousers. As a cavalryman, you will need the 59 version double-layered sky blue trousers. While there are other variants depending on your impression, like the dark blue trousers or using infantry variants, the sky blue double-layered trousers are the first thing that you put on that is explicitly visible for other reenactors in the public out there. A good pair of quality mounted trousers will last many, many years of reenacting as long as you take care of them. The next thing that you need to help solidify the foundation of your clothing is your choice of socks and footwear. Like drawers, this is an area that is easy to cheat on with modern socks, especially if you wear boots instead of brogans. But don't use this as an opportunity to challenge yourself in wearing period correct socks. Get a good quality pair of knit wool type socks. If you can't do that, then settle with the mass-produced brown type wool sock, which is what this one is right here. And there are actually some decent period civilians cotton socks out there. But again, the issues with cotton are that they retain that moisture, and you make your foot actually fairly ripe with smell and disease and other issues, easy to blister. So again, with the foundation of your socks, definitely, if you can splurge on the hand knit, wool type socks. If you can't do that, go ahead and get these mass produced type wool socks, and then go from there. But use this as an opportunity to actually try to wear the footwear that they wore, the cotton or the socks that they wore, and don't cheat with modern socks. Again, try to be Nug with normal, usual, general. Obviously not modern socks. Wear the wool socks. Now let's talk about your boots. Being a cavalry soldier generally makes new troopers want to buy those tall, private purchase, knee flap type boots. But again, filter everything through Nug. Was it normal, usual, general? If you look at a lot of pictures and a lot of original photographs of groups of cavalry soldiers that were either on campaign, in garrison, or wherever, you'll see that the big knee flap, type, tall boots was not necessarily the norm. The standard boot for the cavalry troopers was the 12-inch tall boot, and depending on your unit or the impression, you could even go in the standard brogans. They'd be a good choice too. And so, when choosing the type of boots, personally, if you want to make it flexible to go between infantry and cavalry, brogans are just fine. If not, then go with the standard issue, 12-inch tall boot. If you want to go private purchase, then you can buy the taller type boots. But if you're not going to be an officer or anything like that, stay with that 12-inch boot. If you're going to be an officer and you have more of an excuse to go outside what was Nug and buy the big tall knee flap style boots, then definitely go ahead. If you have a specific impression that requires those tall, external, explicitly visible boots, then go ahead. But again, if you want to be the standard trooper in the cavalry during the American Civil War, try to stick with either brogans or the 12-inch tall boots. And now it talks about, do we tuck in our pants? Do we not tuck in our pants? Again, look at original photographs. A lot of new troopers, they like to tuck in their pants. And this way, I guess this topic, I don't really care either way, but just know why you're tucking in your pants or why you're not tucking in your pants. Don't do it because it looks cool and that's what everyone else is doing. Do it because that's what you would do if it was muddy necessarily, maybe. Or what I do generally, I walk around without any of my pants tucked into my boots. I like it that way. That's what I would normally do anyways, because tucking in to me is a little bit uncomfortable. But again, just use your ideas or your mind or whatever specific impression you have on what type of boot you wear, what type of shoes you wear, and then are you going to tuck in your boots or tuck in your pants to your boots, or aren't you, and why? Just don't do it because everyone else does it and it's cool. So again, that's the boot issue and the pant issue. The next article of clothing that we need to add to your kit is obviously the jacket. Arguably the most visible part of your uniform, you immediately have to make the choice between either the mounted service jacket or the MSJ or the shell jacket or the sack coat. Obviously, as always, it depends on your impression. You can definitely get away with the shell jacket in most early war impressions. However, in the reenacting hobby, the choice to wear either the MSJ or the sack coat generally is based more on how you look in them than actual historical accuracy. Most cavalry reenactors, including myself, tend to stick with the form-fitting, cool-looking shell jacket simply because it looks more cavalier and it looks cooler. Like I said, I even fall into this bad habit many times, as the shell jacket with its yellow trim and tapered waist makes you look pretty awesome. Now, however, from an authenticity standpoint and from a reenacting flexibility standpoint, I would recommend getting a quality sack coat or fatigue blouse. There are major reasons why. So major reason number one why to go with a sack coat instead of a shell jacket. Number one, as the sack coat allows you to easily move between infantry and cavalry impressions while using the same jacket without spending any more money, saving money, and being able to go between infantry in cavalry. That's reason number one. Reason number two, the sack coat quickly becomes the most common jacket by enlisted troops and is therefore the most appropriate type of jacket through most impressions throughout the war. Again, the shell jacket, the mounted service jacket, definitely, you can, early war, I mean, mid-war too, and even late war. But again, it gets less snug, less normal as they just go with the easy outfitted type shell sack coat later on throughout the war. Yes, you experts out there, I'm overgeneralizing, but generally that's what we go for. So again, just kind of reiterate with the jackets, I strongly going with a good quality sack coat. Good example from Wambon White versus having to get a shell jacket and then maybe later on down the road, if you stay in reenacting, having to get a sack coat. So again, sack coat is what my preference would be. Try to stay away from the shell jacket unless you just really want to get those yellow trim, cool looking jackets. So that's the basics of the jackets and picking your jacket. So the next article of your uniform that we must discuss is obviously your headgear. This is for me, it's a very fun topic, but extremely complex conversation that you need to take a look at. In looking at original pictures, and trust me, you need to look at a lot of original pictures for headgear, you're going to find a wide variety of hats and a wide variety of styles and a wide array of how to wear the same hats. So what I'm going to say is definitely an overgeneralization of headgear. For early war impressions, at least for the Eastern units, and I guess for the Western units as well, the Hardee hat, this guy right here, would definitely be appropriate. Most cavalry troopers, when they first get into reenacting, they get the Hardee hat. It's called a full dressed Hardee hat with the side turned up, with the clip on the side, the feather in the hat, the yellow cord on the base of it. But from looking at a lot of pictures, the undressed Hardee hat is definitely more common. Yes, there are portraits in a lot of pictures that show the dressed Hardee for a lot of cavalry troopers, but especially on campaign, in the battlefield, the undressed Hardee is a good bet to get you throughout the war, from early war to late war. Yes, the dressed Hardee hat early war is definitely acceptable, but from an undressed Hardee standpoint, definitely a good hat. In fact, for me personally, especially being out west, one of my favorite hats. It fits well. It's good quality, and it works pretty well, especially with the sun beating down on you. The next hat that you need to consider and think about is the variety of versions. I'm just going to sum it all up by saying forge caps, or caps in general. You have the Type 1, the Type 2. This is the McDowell type forge cap. Definitely something you want to kind of steer toward as far as basic reenacting. They, especially the Army of Potomac, kind of, I guess, looking at a lot of different pictures, you could argue they stayed with the Hardee hats, but depends on what unit you're going to, whether they stayed with wide brim Hardee hats or slouch hats, or whether they went to the forge cap or the bummer, or whatever you want to call them, the cap out there, right? Now, here's one thing I want you to understand. This is not, what I'm talking about is not kepis. Kepis I'm going to address later at the end of this section, but forge caps, honestly, most reenactors buy forge caps. They're easy, they look good, they're easy to carry, and especially they're easy to stuff in your pack, in your saddlebags, in your bedroll. If you don't want them, they're easy to kind of just tuck away somewhere. Whereas having a big wide-brimmed hat, a little bit more difficult. So again, you got the Hardee, you got your forge cap, or the third major option is a civilian pattern or civilian issue hat. Whether it's whether we call it today like a bowler or that's one type of hat, or there's a wide variety of civilian hats out there. This is kind of in my head where it becomes kind of fun, because if you look at especially mid-war to late war, you got a lot of hats out there that are the civilian or private purchase type hats and headgear out there. So what I did, like this hat right here, a lot of what we do out here out west is reenact or portray the 11th Kansas. Now, if you look at some of the 11th Kansas troopers, in fact, most of the ones that we have, I'd say, I guess a little less than half of the pictures that I know of at least have this style hat. So when I portray the 11th Kansas, I got this style hat because that's what we had documented proof that they had them, had pictures, and it works good. This is one of my favorite hats. It works well, wide brimmed, but definitely not a Hardee hat, okay? So again, hats is kind of a fun option. Now I'm going to go to talk about kepis. Kepis are the non-flimsy type. I don't have an example here for you, but kepis are just the short top, kind of, they look like a forage cap for new reenactors who can't quite tell a difference yet. They look like forage caps, but they don't have the flop to them. They don't have that height, and they're just you know, sewn, you know, just, well, they're kepis. Try to stay away from these. Unless you're an officer, unless you're a high-ranking official, or a high-ranking officer, a high-ranking individual, you're not going to be normal, usual, general, wearing a kepi. Kepis were a private purchase item, okay? They were not issued, they were a private purchase item. And since anything, you know, anytime you hear private purchase, obviously the quote nug goes out the window. It wasn't nug. So again, steer away from kepis. If you want, go with the forage cap, type 1, type 2. This is a McDowell type forage cap, whatever. Go with the hardy hat. If you go with the hardy hat, stick with the undressed hardy hat. I mean, this has brass up front, but definitely try to stay with the undressed hardy hat, or, you know, have some fun and do some research and buy some civilian hats, okay? The biggest issue with hats is a couple fold here. Don't buy a flimsy hillbilly farmer's looking hat, okay? Your hat can either make or break your impression. So, you know, before you buy a private purchase hat or a civilian type hat, do your research, look at a lot of photos, and try to get an idea of what you really want in your headgear. Headgear can be fun, but make sure you choose the right one because it can make or break your impression. Now that we have finished talking about the major parts of your clothing, let's go ahead and talk about your Sabre Belt. This item is definitely your primary platform for all your secondary weapons, your saber, your pistol, and all your cartridges. One mistake new reenactors make is to purchase an infantry style belt. Of course, these are, you know, reenactors who definitely haven't done the research yet, but they purchase an infantry belt with an infantry buckle, and they realize that there's no straps for your saber, and they obviously got the wrong stuff. So definitely don't do that. You need the standard buckle, the square rectangular style buckle with the eagle and wreath. The saber belt should have 2 straps of different lengths to hold the saber properly, and that is kind of the basics of your saber or your Sabre Belt. There are many manufacturers who make a variety of belts from low quality to high quality. We don't have enough time to really dive into what makes a good quality belt from a poor quality belt. Obviously, we'll make a video just about that, but right now we're just gonna point out a few items. Arguably, your belt offers the most opportunity in your uniform for individualism and uniqueness for yourself. As you ride and sleep with your unit, you're gonna actually realize that you can identify you and your gear, honestly, by your Sabre Belt. Your fellow soldiers' gear by their Sabre Belt. Other than the pistol, there's no formal position of your cap, your pistol box, your cap pouch, or carbine box. Obviously, your pistol has to be butt forward on your right side, your saber's on your left side, but as far as where your cap pouch is going to be, where your cartridge boxes are going to be, there's no real formal regulation on that. If you look at original documentation, you're going to find a lot of different configurations out there. One thing to note, however, is the practice of putting your carbine box strictly on your carbine sling. While this is not strictly prohibited by documented rules, there is little to no documentation on this, and from hundreds of original photographs, it definitely wasn't nug. And of course, what we try to do, whether it's our, everything we do, whether it's our clothing, gear, behavior, whatever, is we try to find original documentation and go with that. If anyone knows of a picture or a photograph or a diary indicating that they put the cartridge box on their sling, I would love to do that, because definitely it's a lot easier to access it here than reaching back. Some of our older guys obviously have a hard time reaching back, and so it's a lot easier here. But again, this video is on what was nug, what was normal, what you should be doing, and obviously we kind of vary based on each individual person. When it comes to your pistol box, it should hold at least 2 wooden pistol blocks of 6 rounds per box. Your carbine box should be outfitted with the appropriate wooden block or 10 inserts. In reenactments, it's easy to take the wooden block out, or at least want to take the wooden block out, and just give yourself enough room to shove all those cartridges in there. But again, why are we in reenacting? Are we in reenacting to try to experience the life of a cavalry soldier, or experience the life of a soldier? Then honestly, when you're in combat, when you're in a battle, and you actually have a actual good cartridge box with 10 inserts or block inserts, and you have those 20 or 30 rounds, then that's what you want to. I mean, the experience of trying to get to your saddlebags to get your extra rounds is part of the experience. So I recommend keeping your 10 inserts in there, keeping your wooden block in there, and actually experiencing only having 20 rounds in your cartridge box, and then having to go to your saddlebags to get those extra rounds. Now your cap pouch is simply that, your cap pouch. It carries your caps for your carbine. If you don't have a carbine, then there are some documents and some first-hand accounts that say they put extra rounds in here. That's kind of very impression specific. But as far as where to carry it, like I said earlier, it's wherever is most comfortable for you. I encourage you to look at a lot of original photographs. They carried it. A lot of guys carried it here. A lot of guys carried it here as the infantry did. The next item we need to discuss is your carbine sling. Like your Sabre Belt, there's a lot of manufacturers, both poor quality and good quality, and medium quality, all that good stuff. But for now, let's make sure that your sling is over your left shoulder, okay, with the tail end pointing down. So just like so. Over your left shoulder to where your carbine hangs on the right side. Make sure you have a good swivel. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of good repro swivels out there, but you want to make sure that definitely when you open it, it closes fairly easy, fairly regularly. It's common for these to wear out and allow the spring just to stay open and your carbine to drop for the ground. So therefore, make sure the spring is on your hook. The spring on your hook closes quickly, closes easily, because you don't want to drop your carbine in the mud. Of course, after talking about the carbine sling, we must obviously talk about the carbine itself. While this obviously will have its own video and own episode dedicated for all the carbines out there, for now let's just cover some basics to help the new reenactor make a choice into what carbine to get. The type of carbine you choose is really very, very, very dependent on the type of impression you're doing. And honestly, it's one of the most important decisions you make because it's the single most expensive thing in your kit. For one, like I said, it's the most expensive thing in your kit. But number two, it's also easy to buy the wrong carbine depending on your impression, which then throws your entire impression out of the window. Now, for instance, I've seen a Civil War reenactor who really didn't know what he was getting into. He got a trapdoor 4570 carbine that was used in Indian Wars in '76 for a Civil War impression. Obviously, that doesn't work. So let's go through these carbines real quick. The first one I have here is the Spencer carbine. The Spencer carbine is definitely it's a good weapon, but definitely late war. The first time, if I believe correct, or if I understand correctly, the first time that Spencers were used were with Custer's group in Gettysburg, and I believe they had Spencer rifles. The Spencer carbine is easy. It actually loads a seven round magazine with a tube follower in the rear. And of course, all you need to do is cycle a round in the chamber, go to half cock, full cock, ready, aim, fire, good to go. Easy to get some pretty heavy firepower out there in the field with a Spencer carbine. One thing that is kind of an issue with Spencers is they tend to jam real easy, especially with the plastic cartridges. And number two, this limits your impressions to what you can do. So definitely, it's one of my favorites out there. Number one, our unit, the 11th Ohio, had Spencers from the mid-war on, but it definitely limits your ability to do impressions for early war like Manassas and those type of deals. So again, this is the Spencer carbine. The next carbine that we're going to talk about, next weapon is the Spencer rifle. Again, if I believe correctly, Custer and his men had this in Gettysburg and East Cavalry Field. Obviously, it's the longer version, the rifle version of the Spencer carbine. Definitely, we ride with it. If you can get one with a saddle ring, you can do that as well. Same issues, nothing different between the Spencer rifle and Spencer carbine other than the length and the weight. The next thing that we're going to talk about is the Smith carbine. The Smith carbine is personally my favorite because it's one of the cheaper carbines out there. It's extremely simple to operate. Opens basically like your daddy's shotgun. Break open right there, opens the breech. You put a India rubber or a black rubber type cartridge in the back. You close it, go to half cock, put a cap on the nipple, full cock, ready, aim, fire. and then all you do is open the breech again, pull out the rubber cartridge, throw it away, put a new one in, and theoretically, apparently you're supposed to be able to shoot 14 rounds a minute with this guy. Really easy, really lightweight. Again, one of the cheaper carbines you can get out there, and the best part for us is when we portray the 11th Kansas, this is what the 11th Kansas had out west. The last carbine that we're going to talk about is the workhorse of the Civil War cavalry carbines. This is the Sharps carbine. This is definitely by far in numbers, we'll go into it on another video, but by far in numbers, the most common carbine out there during the American Civil War. If I remember correctly, looking at the numbers, the Sharps outnumbered almost every carbine significantly. So the issue with the Sharps though, is that because of the complex flash channel, you go down, you go over, and you go perpendicular to that. So there's basically 3 directions that flash has to travel to reach and ignite the powder in the breech. The issue with that is if you have some of the cheapo or flimsy type caps, they're not going to have the power, the initiating force to spark that powder charge, and you're going to get a lot of misfires. Okay, so that's the one drawback. They will get clogged, they will gum up pretty quick, but as far as a carbine that you can get that will transcend the entire war, almost no matter what era, what unit you're doing, the Sharps carbine is a really good bet. Again, a little bit more expensive if I remember right, about $1,200 to $1,300, similar to the Spencer as well. They're all right around the $1,200, $1,300 price tag, other than the Smith, which is right at $900, so right at $1,000. So again, my recommendation, if you can afford it, go with the Sharps. It transcends the widest variety of impressions that you can have. So like getting a sack coat, go with the Sharps. Finally, let's talk about your Canteen. I'm actually personally looking forward to our episode that is in the works right now all about canteens. This one item has a large number of variations, and it is important to note what arsenal or depot your unit was issued from, because there is a significant difference between a New York, Cincinnati, Philadelphia style canteens. For now though, let's go ahead and talk about some basics, or for you well-informed guys out there, some gross overgeneralizations. Leather straps with sky blue or gray covers tend to be more early war than late war. Cotton straps and dark blue covers are more late war. Metal chains that you see at Settler Row canteens are definitely only from the New York depot. All others had strings to retain that cork. And most important, never hang or clip your canteen on your saddle. While this is documented during the Indian Wars, I wouldn't be surprised to find a number of documented cases during the Civil War. If you're going for the standard trooper, again, what was normal, usual, and general, then don't attach your canteen to your saddle. It should be on your person always. All right, now you're ready for battle. Well, kind of. You'll notice that we didn't cover personal items like haversacks or personal items like housewives. I didn't cover tack or the saddles or bridles or halters or anything horse related. On this episode, we just want to cover what you actually wore on your person, the kind of the start of your kit for reenacting, if you will. We'll definitely, like I said before, we're going to do an entire episode on each of the articles we talked about today. We're going to do an entire episode on just the drawers. We're going to do an entire episode on canteens. I'm excited about that one. I guess because mainly I learned more than I ever have in the past year, 2 or 3 years of canteens combined in the just past probably a week or so. I got a hold of an awesome book. But definitely, this is just a kind of a start and a gross overgeneralization of where to go, how to make decisions when you first get into cavalry reenacting. Stay tuned for the other videos on the generalized what to get for saddles and tack, the generalized videos on what to do for private purchase items like your haversack, plates, cups, stuff like that. But also more importantly, and actually more hopefully more fun, is getting into the details of each one of these things. So again, hopefully you enjoyed this video. I appreciate it's a little long, definitely, but hopefully it was worth your time. Again, thank you so much for watching this channel. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Like us on Facebook. And thank you again for watching the 11th Ohio Volunteer Cavalry. Have a great week.